And we're going to talk about Olympics, and we're very honored to have a special guest with us today, Mike Burton from Des Moines, and winner of 3 gold medals, the 68 and 72 Olympics. 68 was Mexico City.
Yes. And
72, of course, was Munich. I'll tell you what I want to do right away is just take a look at these medals. I'm sure you get this all the time. But you brought along the gold medals, and I'd love to take a look at them up close, and we'll show them here on camera, too. People ever get tired of this? I bet they don't. Do you ever get tired of it?
No, not at all. You know, not very many people get to see them or actually touch them and hold them.
That's right.
And they are heavy, and they're silver gilt that's gold-plated.
Oh, they are heavy.
And that was the medal from Mexico City.
This is Mexico City?
Munich, excuse me.
There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. Now, are they exactly the same? The
almost exactly the same. It's up to the host country what goes on the back.
Oh, really?
And
the front is the same.
The front is the same.
And has been? Probably. The start.
Ever since it started.
Yeah.
But the back of the medal, the host country can put whatever they want on the back, and the theme of the Munich Olympic Games was brotherhood. And so there's
ironic.
Yeah, for what happened there, it was very ironic. So it's, but they're about the same size and gold-plated.
Now this is faded a bit.
They do.
Almost I don't know if they'll be able to tell at home, but it's almost a silverish color now.
Yeah. I think the gold's rubbing off
from people like me touching it. And we can see on the back then it is a bit different. The first one you received was for the 400.
Yes.
Swimming, 400 meter and 68. Was the thrill the same for the last one as it was the first one?
Not really. I think the last one was much more gratifying because I was 25 years old and it was the last swim I was ever going to make, and I wasn't favored to win a medal at all. And I barely made the team in Chicago at our Olympic trials, and to go out and actually win the event and break the world record in my last race was just, it was very, very satisfying. It was a very emotional and physically draining swim, and but it was fun.
We're going to take a look. We're going to have the chance to take a look at actual tape and film of both Olympics, so it's going to be fun to compare, too. You were relatively old at 25, but you were still a pretty young man. But first, 1968 was the Olympics in Mexico City, and we're going to be able to take a look, I believe now, at the end of that race as you won it. So let's roll that now and listen to it.
Colorado Springs, and this is the result now.
Echeverria, I think, tried to upset him a little bit by setting such a blistering first 100 meters. But Mike, being the veteran that he is, did not let it upset him. He has swum a beautiful race. His stroke has been perfect. His leg power is just tremendous. He has held 1/7 the whole way. Although now he's picking it up, bringing it home, I think he's swum a fantastic race.
You'll notice how he uses his powerful arms to stroke through the water, very seldom using much of a kick. He uses his feet and ankles and legs more as a stabilizer to keep him in the water. He is only 10 meters from the finish, and what a victory this will be for Mike Burton. He has won the gold in the 400, and the crowd here gives him a tremendous roar for his overwhelming victory in the 1500. Getting the silver over in lane 6 will be John Kinsella of the United States.
Now, that was a huge win. I mean, you were, how much ahead were you there?
Probably about 25 meters.
You couldn't see anybody else.
But I knew where they were.
But it hadn't started out that way. No. Tell us about the favorite now. Going in was Echeverria?
Yes, that's right. Guillermo Echeverria. I'd swum against him many, many times before. But that particular summer, we swam against each other at the Santa Clara International meet in July, and then again in August at our national championships. And he beat me in Santa Clara, broke my world record, and then when we swam against each other at the national championships, I won and just touched out John Kinsella, who was second at the Olympic Games. So it was building up to be a fairly interesting race because we had the problem of altitude in Mexico City, and of course Guillermo was born and raised in Mexico City, so he had altitude to his advantage. So it was quite a race.
He started out very fast in the race?
He went out awfully fast. He was out in a minute plus, and I was right there with him, back a little bit, of course.
Now, the 1,500 meters lengthy race, how long, what was your winning time?
In Mexico City, it was 16:38.
Yeah, it seems like you guys just, I don't know how you have really the the strength to continue for that length of time. But he started out, and was that a mistake in retrospect now to go that fast?
For him, it was. Don Scholander was one of the commentators on the tape, and he was saying that he was using his legs awfully early. And if you overkick a lot, and especially in a distance race, early in the race, it's gonna drain you. And that's what happened to Guillermo, because he fell right away all the way back to 7th place, which he finished up. So
when he shot out that far ahead, did that concern you? I mean, did that change your tactic? Was it hard to have the discipline not to try to follow him?
Yes, you had to maintain control and also maintain your focus on your race plan. And I was feeling good at that moment, and I knew where he was, and as long as I didn't lose sight of him, I thought I was going to be okay. And as it turned out, it worked out okay.
Now, we move on to the 72 Olympics in Munich, and we're going to talk about Munich later and everything else that happened, but I just want to concentrate now on your races and the fun aspect of it all. And we're going to see the introductions here, and we'll see this is 4 years later, and you have aged a bit, but now, before we look at the tape, tell us again, you went into this, you were the former, obviously, Olympic winner in the 1500 race, which we're going to see, but you were not the favorite.
No, I wasn't. I was the defending champion, but nobody thought I was going to be able to defend it.
Because you were 25.
I was 25. I swam okay in Chicago, not great. I was the 3rd person picked on our Olympic team behind 2 16-year-old schoolboys, and so they didn't expect me to win a medal at all. Sports Illustrated, I wasn't picked to win anything, so...
Did you think you could win?
I never swam a race that I didn't think I could win. And if you're going to compete, that's the way you have to feel. You have to get in there and go for the win, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that's the way it goes.
Well, let's take a look. This is videotape now. 68 was film. You'll see the difference. It's now videotape in 72, and the introductions to the 1500 meter with Mike Burton.
He is in lane number 1. Swimming in lane number 2 is Mark Pfeffers of New Zealand. Mark Pfeffers. In lane number 3, one of the favorites for the event, Brad Cooper of Australia. Cooper. In lane number 4, in the middle of the pool, it's Graham Windiat of Australia, the new Olympic record holder. In lane number 5, the man who won this event in 1968, Mike Burton of the United States. In lane number 6, Doug Northway of the U.S. He's from Tucson, Arizona. In lane number 7, it'll be Graham White of Australia. And in lane number 8, Guillermo Garcia of Mexico, and he is the added starter. He was put into the field when Rick DeMont, the world record holder of the United States, was barred from starting this race. He was barred from starting the race because of the IOC medical rule. The lanes will read top to bottom 1 through 8 as we begin the 1500 meters, roughly 16 minutes of swimming. Now the story on Rick DeMont. He apparently had taken some medication prescribed by his personal...
Yeah, and let's get it firsthand now from Mike Burton as you started out in this race. Dumont was the favorite, but he was, what, 16 years old?
Uh-huh.
And he had asthma?
He was an asthmatic all of his life, and the medication that he was taking at the time contained the drug ephedrine, and that was on the IOC's ban list. And when it showed up in his specimen sample after the 400 meter, which he won, he was disqualified from the 400, and he'd already qualified for the finals of the 1500, and he was disqualified there as well.
So now, are you leading at this point, right here at the start?
Yes. It was always my strategy to go out as fast as I could without hurting myself and try to break up the field and get them off pace if I could. And so right now I'm leading.
As the race went on, and obviously we're not going to be able to watch all of it or even the end because the tape that we have doesn't show the very ending, but did you hold the lead then the whole way?
No, after about 400 to 500 meters, Graham Windiat, who was just on the right of me on that last shot, went by me and got just about a body length ahead, and then with about 300 meters left in the race, I was able to come up and pass him and finish the race about 6 seconds ahead of him.
So it wasn't quite as large a victory in 68 in terms of distance won, but it meant more to you.
That's right. It meant a lot more, and I think the margin of victory, you know, was probably due to old age and everybody else catching up with me.
We're going to see an interview in just a second here with Mike after the race, but I want to ask you first. Let me take you back again to 68. You were overcoming really an illness in 68. What was it called again? I wrote this down.
It's Turista or Montezuma's Revenge, things like that.
People have had that in Mexico, and athletes got it in 68.
Yeah.
But you still won the 400, and then you had a couple of days to get even stronger because you need more strength for the 1500.
Right. Yeah, I contacted the disease about the day before I swam the trials of the 400, and just swam to qualify because I was trying to conserve my energy for the finals. And then the finals came around, and I'd lost 15 pounds. I was in a weakened state, and George Haynes, one of our Olympic coaches, asked me how I was feeling, and I said, I feel great. And I asked him what he thought it was going to take to win the race, and he said, well, the Canadian Ralph Hutton thinks probably about 4:11, which is what he swam in the race, and Mosconi, the Frenchman, he thought he'd go about 4:12. And I looked at him, I said, George, that's great, because I'm going to swim 4:09, and that's what I did in the race. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I predicted my time, and it went very nice.
Hmm. How do you think you could have swam even better in the 1500 if you hadn't had the Turista?
That's hard to say. Once a race has been swum like that, it's the 1638 that I did swim in Mexico City would have transferred probably to what I'd swum at Long Beach, which was 1608, which was the world record at the time. Because of the altitude, you just don't swim as fast.
Now, we want to see that interview. Do we have it ready? It's an interview with Keith Jackson, I believe, of ABC, and Mike Burton after he won in the 72 Olympics, the 1500, at age 25, winning your third gold medal, and here's that interview.
Yes, Mike Burton, 15 minutes, 52.6 for the gold medal at 1,500 meters. I just stand in awe of the determination you showed, Mike, to win at 1,500, your second successive gold medal.
Well, it's always a great feeling to win, and I just took the race out after it and tried to hold on as long as I could. And when I saw Graham fading a little bit, I felt that now was the time to try to move after him, although I didn't accelerate too much until I got by him. And it's just this, I don't know, it's inborn, I guess, this winning instinct I have, and it just feels so great to win, and that's what I always strive for.
You just barely made the team in Chicago. You suffered for it, and when the race was over, you cried out of the satisfaction for it, and you said, God, it hurt. But I'm glad I did it. Doesn't hurt tonight, does it?
Well, it did, but it doesn't now. In Chicago, I had a very tough swim. The younger guys are just, you know, getting tougher every day, and some of them are using my methods of swimming, and it's just getting too tough to hang on anymore, and I think after this I'm going to retire now.
You've earned it. Live happily ever after. Again, congratulations, Mike Burton.
Thanks a lot, Keith.
Have you ever been as happy as you were that moment?
Oh, yeah, certain other things have made me happy, but that was very, very exciting. It was just, it was a thrill. It really was.
We want to talk to you about your life since then, and we want to talk to you about the current Olympics and what you think, and we'll do that with Mike Burton when we return in just a moment.